is always asking any conference realignment updates. No. The Pac-12 has released their schedule. We went through some of that yesterday. The Big 12, as we know, might come out by some January, either this year or whenever. But no, there's really not much there. And a lot of it, I guess, whatever the next move might be, you might be based on, would you guys agree, whatever the Pac-12 TV deal comes out with.
Yeah, I think that's going to be incumbent on that. I think Kevin Warren not being involved in the Big Ten is probably great news for the Pac-12 right now, because without a commissioner, and I don't know how long that process is going to take for the Big Ten and what they're going to do to pick the new commissioner. But without him being there, that probably slows this down a little bit more than it was. I think it was pretty already slowed, because I personally hold the belief that unless the Pac-12 TV deal is just worse than the Live TV deal that is on the CW, then that conference will hold together more or less until the next round of TV deals in 4 or 5 years. So, yeah, but I do think that there could be something if it just can't get done. You've got schools that are upset with a TV deal, and then they say, well, we're going to try to find our place elsewhere. But I still see something getting done with the Pac-12 here, whenever that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to happen sometime.
This is the
right?
last year, the one they're on right now.
Like whenever that is, got to be sometime, got to be soon. And you're talking about the Big 12 schedule. Like if they drop it, well, they got to drop it this year. They have to. You got to know who you're playing next season. But yeah, I mean, it's still early in the year, I suppose, and early in the off season. But I have, seen some expansion, threads and things start to pop up, because I think it's natural that we don't have games to talk about. So like this is one of those other things, but it's also because there's been a lot of stuff to talk about the last couple of years. But I don't think there's that big summer splash waiting in the wings like there has been. At least it doesn't appear so. To answer your question, I think, for anybody looking for any type of a seismic shift, I think you just have to look at the Pac-12 right now. I mean, that's the conference whose TV deal's up next. That's the conference who's been negotiating or working on their TV deal for months and months at this point. Like that finish line that they were supposed to have, that's way back there now at this. Like, I mean, we've gone way past that.
I forgot when it was.
Yeah, like we just blown past that, and it's like all of a sudden, headlines of like, well, no, this is normal. And there's definitely some PR maneuvering surrounding the fact that thing's still not done. But now it's got to the point where I think even people who would normally be your PR wings are like, where's the deal at, guys? You can only kind of like delay it so long. So I think that, yeah, whatever is happening with the Pac-12 is where you look for potential shakeups, because if it's not satisfactory to, some particular schools, what kind of division does that create? Do Oregon and Washington, because maybe they're the most appetizing, do they, hold that over the heads of the others? Is there an uneven revenue sharing model? If there is, there's going to be some folks that are not very happy about that. That's going to create some strife and tension that's, extra in addition to what is sort of already there because of what they had to deal with post-LA schools. So, yeah, that's where I'm looking, because the TV deal's coming up, and obviously the change with the Big Ten and Kevin Warren, that does make you go, how does the Big Ten now maybe approach what their ultimate plans are, or are they staying pat? I mean, that's the question that we didn't really know. Then when the season started, we just sort of forgot about that for a little while because we were so focused on games. But prior to that, and prior to the Bears and Kevin Warren talking, we were all wondering last offseason, okay, are they done? Are they sticking with just the LA schools, or could they perhaps reach out and try to talk to a TCU, or go and try to get Oregon, Washington, or, go start to make those moves, or those early seeds being planted for the ACC schools and whatnot. But I don't know. I think it's all up in the air now because the big man in charge has changed. So, we're all waiting on that Pac-12 TV deal, and that will kind of set the table, I think, for how the rest of the responses go.
As somebody, our 365 Sports in the chat room, as someone teased, there's a hell of an interesting realignment status thread that is in the premium section. And basically, without giving you too much, because we'd love for you to go in there, this premium section's incredibly affordable. But the bottom line, still all of what are the main cores. Allotment, availability. Are they going to, as Craig just mentioned, are they going to like have uneven revenue sharing to appease Washington or Oregon? And then what does that mean? Bottom line, is it going to be good enough for them to stay together with the 10 remaining teams or not? And a long-term commitment.
The weird thing you think of in the Pac-12, like the SEC always kind of in constant lockstep with one another. Everybody knows that they want to be there. The Big Ten, the same way. The ACC, I mean, they might have people that want to go elsewhere, but, you know, let's talk in a decade and then we'll figure that out. But that they're locked into a long-term deal. The Big 12 is starting its new course this year. And the Pac-12 is in this spot where, you know, you don't really know how everybody feels about it. Like, you've got a couple schools like Oregon and Washington who you would think would be super interested in getting out if things can't be to their liking. Then you've got schools in those same states, Oregon State and Washington State, that are ready to double down on the Pac-12. Let's stay here because they don't know what their future would be outside of that league and what their revenue and all that would be. So they're ready to double down. You know, the Arizona schools don't really, you know, the Four Corners don't really know where they would fit in, you know, although I think they probably feel confident they would find a home, still don't know where they'd fit in. And then you've got the Bay Area schools that need to kind of determine what they're going to be. Like, what are you going to be in the modern world of college football? And I think that those things all happening at once probably makes for difficult negotiations in the Pac-12 because you don't have, you know, if you're negotiating the SEC TV deal, there's no, like, we don't know who we're going to be. We're going to be the SEC and we're going ahead.
Anytime you walk into a meeting with multiple people and somebody in that meeting looks down at you, then you're going to have some issues getting together and understanding and also agreeing on something.
And here's the thing, is everybody going to be satisfied if it's just some, you know, majority Amazon streaming deal? I mean, I know the NFL had success with that, but is that going to work in college football? And I know that was kind of like the feather in the cap when some of the pro Pac-12 folks were talking about, like, oh, it's going to be Amazon. It's, you know, they kind of use that as some big weapon that they were wielding, but you know, is that going to be the next big thing? I mean, I know everybody pretty much on the same page that streaming's the future, but to what extent? And even still, no matter how, you know, great Amazon might be or whatever streaming service would be interested in the Pac-12, you still want to be on ABC or Fox, or, you know, you want to be on the main channels no matter what and get your exposure there, because that's where the majority of it's going to come from. And so that's what I think a lot of people are questioning right now is what element of whatever deal they're trying to swing is streaming versus, you know, your major networks, and to what degree is that? And yeah, like, if you're Stanford and Cal, I need to know, like, what is your commitment level to all of this moving forward over the next several years? And is it strong? Is it the same as others that are on board? Or is this one of those things where, yeah, we start to see in this NIL era where those are two of the schools that decide, you know what, this is not what we want to be involved with. And then Oregon and Washington, I mean, until the Big Ten basically seals its door, you're always going to wonder about them and whether or not there's some discussion behind the scenes or whether or not there's not a UCLA, USC type of move in the works. So, yeah, I think we could, you know, speculate all day long on realignment, but right now the focus is on the Pac-12 and that TV deal and whatever that looks like and whatever that entails and however or not that makes certain schools in that league happy.